I now mentally have a picture of Bitcoin being worth more than gold, right? And I'm not know when did it get there, but I can see in 100 years if Bitcoin still remains this unflawed piece of supply and code, why wouldn't it get closer to 13 trillion? This episode of Trends with Friends is brought to you by Freck. I believe in this product so much that I moved most of my passive stock market investing assets over. If you are like most of us that invest in ETFs, you should know that there is a better way that lets you invest in an index like the S&P 500 while saving thousands on your taxes. It's called Freck Direct Indexing and takes zero additional effort. Just as easy as investing in an ETF, Freck Direct Indexing can help you earn more by unlocking tax savings through tax loss harvesting. Direct indexing has been around for decades, but only through wealth advisors at high fees and high minimums. Technological innovation has changed that and made it available directly to investors like yourself. Direct indexing is now growing faster than mutual funds and ETFs. Join the thousands switching to get more bang for your buck. Visit freck.com. That's FREC.com to get started. Let's go, boys. Trends with Friends. A lot happening in the world. Phil, what are we covering today?
Well, I think right out of the gate, we're just going to go right to the meme coins, because what's bigger than the meme coin theme happening right now? So meme coins are the new party stocks. They're the new AMC and GMI, or what was that other one? GameStop. And so that's what I saw Joe McCann say that. And then the trending. So tell us about the trending, Howard. Trending on StockTwits, all meme coins. How beautiful is this?
All right. So, boys, I'm going to set the stage here because, last week JC talked about Bitcoin possibly crossing 70K. We're there now. We gave a tribute to Michael Saylor. But this week, quickly, I was in New York last week seeing StockTwits team. Didn't catch up with JC. He was there. By the way, your butt is as nice as the, what was the name of the butt next to you? The woman, the old queen of the market.
Her name is Liz Clayman.
Liz Clayman. Oh, she's so smart. Very smart woman.
I love her.
No, the crazy one, the one all Trumpster that you were next to.
Oh, dude, were you hanging out with Maria Bartiromo? Did she fucking lose her marbles?
Maria Bartiromo. And
dude,
by the way,
she lost her
JC's lost her mind. JC's.
I haven't seen Maria in months, for the record.
I thought there was a video of you with Maria, and I was like, gonna have a heart attack because Liz Clayman, very smart, lovely lady, super nice. Okay, couple things, boys.
She came to my birthday party. You didn't.
Did she wear a birthday suit?
Oh, Liz, was it your birthday party?
She comes in a birthday suit. I'm coming to your party.
I like Liz.
So this show is already an hour long. Can I just say something? I was with my
just saying, Howard Lindzon has something to say.
Howard can't get a word in edgewise. He can't get a word in edgewise. That's the funniest thing ever.
I'm so buzzed.
That's funny.
I just did 2 coffees and an Adderall. I'm hammered. So listen.
What part of the cycle is Howard Lindzon trading shitcoins?
I'm not trading them, please. And by the way, I did mention render, and it's up like
I think
200%. So Justin Saslaw, who's an extremely smart person, very, very no ego, very quiet. He's now at Ribbit Capital. He was working for Skamath for a little while. And before that, Raptor. He's worked for 3 billionaires as an analyst / fintech expert / crypto expert. Very young guy, but also extremely my go-to person. Anyways, I had the chance to sit down with him, and we talked about just this overall risk. And he has one of the funnest, most interesting, hard for me to remember, so I'm going to read. And Phil, you will totally love this. JC, you will love this too, but like Phil will totally get it. QE, this is how he says it, and now we've taken it one number. QE infinity, which we went through, turned your savings account into your checkings account, the bond market into your savings account, the equity market into the bond market, the venture market into the equity market, gave rise to the crypto market as the new venture market, and MEMS have since become the new crypto market. So we've completely, through QE and global printing, whatever, have borked risk, right? We've moved risk to this new paradigm, which is now showing up in meme coins. And I will then give you the data that Phil says, and we can then go on with the show. In 2017, JC, StockTwits is not great for everything, right? Reddit is, and I've said this before, Reddit is seeing around the corner. But for the 1% that you get right, 99% is false signal. Twitter, which is getting worse every day, not for whatever reason, is more right there at real time, right? It's where everything kind of happens at the line of scrimmage. It's not 1% good signal, 99. It's probably 40% good signal, 60% bad signal, right? A lot of spam. StockTwits is 10 minutes behind that, let's say, or a minute behind that, which means there's a lot more signal if you know how to read it, because we don't need to be first, right? We're reading Reddit, we're reading Twitter, and then we show up on StockTwits for a little bit of the bad news bears. Okay. So in that world, StockTwits is a perfect place for me because it's slowed down a little bit. Like, it's been digested by Reddit. It's been digested by Twitter. And then the crazy people like us who love stocks hang out and talk about this stuff, right? So it's digested down a little slower. Okay. What happened in 2017 was a paradigm shift. I remember sitting with Justin and Phil, you were probably there, and the amount of Bitcoin messages surpassed SPY messages. And SPY was always the king of StockTwits, right? SPY, SPY, SPY. In 2017, Bitcoin surpassed SPY. Okay. And yes, that might have been close to the top of Bitcoin. But what happened was this was the very beginning of the slowest of the real-time crew embracing Bitcoin as just kind of something that was here in the vernacular, and it was something that wasn't going away. That was a huge data moment for me, seeing the Bitcoin messages surpass SPY. This week, on a Monday, again, I don't know the exact date, but really came to fruition Monday. We've had weekends are for crypto forever. As soon as Friday shuts down and Monday and until Monday morning, it's all crypto all the time. It's become all meme all the time. And yesterday, during Monday, like one of our most active days after a long weekend for StockTwits, it was still all altcoins. And so the signal to me is not that this will rage on forever. I mean, that this current trend will rage on forever, but we've crossed some sort of paradigm where, whether you make fun of it or not, the money that's flowed into Bitcoin and is making its way into altcoins, the mind share that meme coins and altcoins have taken has reached some new crossover point where we can't go back, right? And this goes with money flows too. There is so much money on the other digital side now that no matter how bad the next bear market gets, that money ain't coming back to fiat. And so that's just the biggest trend that I see overall, using all the lenses that I'm luckily getting. Now, I can't quantify this, but that's what I see. So thank you, Phil, for letting me get that off my chest.
So Brunei on the rip title last night just put it, meme coins overtake meme stocks. That was the line. That's a good line.
I love that.
And Joe McCann commented on it last night as well. Like, he loved that title. And it's just, that's where we're at right now. Like, that's where we're at. And if you look,
and meme stocks,
CeeLo, Milady,
stupid.
Pooh, XYO, yeah, there you go. XYO Network, Assemble Protocol, Stellar Lumens, Ripple. Ripple I've heard of, but those were all the trenders on a weekday on StockTwits. These are what the YOLO traders are freaking about now during the week, not even on a Saturday.
And what was different, and I'll tell you, we can make fun of meme coins all day, and I'm not against that. What I'm saying is meme stocks were stupid because they were in a universe that was tied to earnings, right? Meaning eventually they were coming for these because AMC and GME were not growth companies. They were tied to a world that measured stocks by earnings and prehistoric, maybe not prehistoric, but metrics that were tied to the old world of investing. Meme coins have no fundamental tie to anything. So anything really can go, and there's no earnings to fucking worry about. There's no like tie to like old data or old standards of valuing something. So really, this is a historic again, it could end today. I just don't think it will end today. I think we'll be talking about meme coins as a form of NFTs for 100 years because of the way people will trade these off Telegram.
But hold on. So, and this is so now let's get into practicality. All right, funny, haha, we make fun of it. Dogecoin's $24 billion in market cap, by the way, for those keeping score at home. So there's real money being made here, right? So just because we're playing Monopoly over here with funny money doesn't mean that can't be transferred into USD. This is real cash. Okay, so what translates a meme coin? And I want to give you my perspective, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So we traditionally in prior cycles looked at the top 100 coins, right? That was about right. At this point, we're looking at the top 200 coins because that gets you to about $300 million in market capitalization, which is basically a small cap. The
Correct.
Russell 2000 is 300 million and up whenever they rebalance. So that gets you about the top 200 coins. I'm looking for, now we have triggers where at any point, any coin jumps over the $100 million market cap mark for the first time. We have an algorithm that notifies us right away. So we're getting like 7 to 10 a week of those names that are crossing the 100 million mark.
Wow.
You can get them on a lot of dexes. So that's how I'm thinking about this system, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that approach.
I'll tell you, there's a friend of mine, woman, God, I'm not going to release the true person, Shardy, Shardi. I think JC, there's no way I'm getting involved. Okay, so
with what?
There's because, and let me explain that. And I think I've said it on previous shows. There is time where you pay people for managing your alpha, and there's times where you dive into alpha. Right, Web 2, I lived it. Like I started StockTwits, I understood YouTube, or maybe I didn't understand it, but I was so mentally curious about Web 2 that I lived in it. Therefore, I had a bit of an edge, right? I can't quantify the edge. I never bragged about this. It was a bull market. I'm grateful that it was a bull market, but I lived in Web 2. Okay, and so I believed that I would pay venture capitalists 2% or 2.5% and 20. Okay. There is no world that I will pay someone to beat the stock market for me 2.5% and 20. I think we all agree. Warren Buffett said he wouldn't. It's very rare that any of us would pay 2.5% and 20 to have someone try and beat the S&P. But for venture capital in the Web 2 era, I was. Now comes along Web 3, which I'm not immersed in. I know good people like Justin. I just said I know I have money in many different funds. I am very happy to pay 2.5% or 2% for someone to manage my crypto exposure because I don't want to deal with wallets. I don't want to deal with custody. I don't understand rug pulls. I don't really believe in meme coins. I understand, and I'm not begrudging it. Therefore, the alpha has moved where guys like me who want to believe or want to participate, the only smart way to do it is to dilute yourself a little bit and pay the 2.5% and 20%. Now, in that world, I don't want to pay 2.5% and 20% for a venture capitalist because the alpha has moved onto the spectrum where I'm only willing to pay.
But Howard, if you're trading stocks and you trade stocks all the time, sometimes you have options positions. We've talked about them here on the show. What's the difference in buying injective protocol? Look at throw up the injective protocol chart. I put it right below
amazing,
there.
and I understand, but like I have
what's wrong. What?
It's totally different.
But the chart is beautiful, and there's zero difference.
Hold on,
this is a great
conversation.
Wait, let me just say this. This is a great conversation.
Phil, defend me here of why I'm not.
This is a great conversation because it characterizes different approaches to investing, and there's many different ways to make money. Howard is incredible at curation, and he sniffs out who the smart people are, and he writes them a check, and he says, "Hey, go make me money." JC is a behaviorist. He's a price behaviorist. He looks at the price behavior and he notices a pattern and he manages his risk that way and he finds opportunity. And that is also a wonderful thing to do. This chart is out of hand. I've never heard of injective protocol. who the hell knows what it is? But look at this
Injector
chart. It's
protocol
gorgeous.
has been making
It's just a
all-time
simple
highs for
okay.
it's always made all-time highs.
It's just making all-time highs. It has a nice rounded, it went sideways to consolidate, and now it's breaking out again. Is that right, JC?
I mean, listen, it's been a leader. You want to talk about relative strength?
It has.
That's the beauty of crypto markets is that we can apply the same principles we've learned in traditional assets. We can apply those in crypto. And the fact that this has been making new all-time highs well before any of the other ones were, that literally is evidence of relative strength. $4.5 billion in market cap, 29th largest cryptocurrency.
Liquid asset, $4.5 billion market cap.
I am, but I have to then open it. I have to then put more money in my Coinbase account, which I have a limit on what I want to leave in my Coinbase account because I don't want a gun to my head and be robbed. I have many reasons why beyond just the chart, because I agree with you, JC. You're willing to go that extra mile and open up another exchange account and blah, blah, blah. And I'm paying my 2%.
You don't need to open up accounts because you could just have one wallet and then you could use that wallet in any decentralized exchange that you want.
And that's what I said. That's why I'm bullish. We are getting to the point where I'd be able to type into Telegram, buy me $10,000 worth of injective protocol. Like this is why we're coming. It needs to get to 58-year-old Howard where I'm on Telegram and I have a wallet that's cross-chain. And I just literally type in, and it's coming. I'm seeing pitches. I want to own $10,000 worth of, and it'll do the stable coin transfer, and it'll do all that. And so we're almost there, JC, and it's going to be great for guys like you. But Howard is still 58. I'm talking about myself in the third person, which is always weird. But I'm not going to go there. And I was hoping Phil could explain why. I'm not trying to
go where? Where are you
Here's
going?
the last word. Then we're going to move on.
Where I paid 2%, and I'm going to yell at the managers.
You're both good. You're both good. You're both doing fine. It's just a different way of going about it. You're both doing fine. I think last word. I just have a last word on this.
You know how Howard walks around like the idiot savant, like he pretends he's dumb and everything like that, but like he's actually a really smart guy. You know how this is one of those cases where he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm too old. I don't need. That's bullshit.
I know. I agree with
bullshit,
you. That's his shtick. But it works for him. He's a curator. Last word on it. The purity of the meme coins is that it is speculation, unabashed. That is the aesthetic. That is the beauty of it. It is unabashed speculation. I love it. And it is unabashed. It doesn't care.
It can be unabashed speculation.
It can't be. Let's just talk about one other thing.
You're exploiting the inefficiency of it, which is lovely, but it's unabashed speculation.
Same as the stock market. Same as the stock market.
One more thing that may help me explain.
I don't disagree with that.
If we could pull up a chart.
I don't disagree with that.
Just pull up a chart of Coinbase against Robinhood. This will explain my dilemma and 90% of the world's dilemma and why meme coins are going to work. This is why Coinbase is outperforming everything right now. It's very tied to Bitcoin, but it's also different.
You're not setting a high bar there with Robinhood as a denominator, by the way. I'm
just trying to explain a point, okay? You have two companies, one that's fully in the Web3 world, Coinbase, who's talking piss at the SEC, who is theoretically, breaking laws according to Gensler. And then you have Robinhood, which was supposed to be the poster child of like the next E-Trade, but they're still stuck in the mud like Howard is, okay? Except they don't have an excuse. I have an excuse. I'm one person. I'm Howard Lindzon. I'm 58. I'm stuck in the mud. It's not affecting other people. It's affecting my balance sheet. It's not affecting other balance sheet. But if we look at where Robinhood is versus Coinbase, we will see the transfer that's happening. And where JC is correct is that we should be thinking in the world. And I'm full on for JC and younger people who want to explore to go for 100% meme coins because there's liquidity now in a lot of these. But you can see it expressed in how the world is treating Coinbase and Robinhood. Okay. Robinhood is going up because the market is going up right now. Coinbase is going up because they fully are lit and connected into this new world. Robinhood's straddling the line, which is almost a negative, right? They'll do fine as long as the market goes up, but they can't fully commit to Web3 because they can't afford to lose 90% of their business, which is Web 2, right? They're centralized at the core. Whereas Coinbase here is showing you that this thing, it might just be getting going. And that's why Coinbase has been a great proxy. I mean, there's a lot of leverage attached to it, but it's been an incredible proxy for this whole movement because Brian Armstrong has laid the flag and said, we're not going back. Brian Armstrong could have hooked up and started trading stocks for people, but he hasn't. That would have been an easy fucking play to just go get the stock money and go in with Gary Gensler and say, you know what? But that, Phil, do you understand what I'm saying here?
Is this stuff still decentralized? Is that even a part of this? Is it decentralized? I don't even think it's decentralized anymore. I mean, the ETFs, $55 billion
these are
ETFs
central
in the Bitcoin ETF.
No, these are centralized exchanges.
Yeah.
There are also decentralized exchanges that you can participate in.
Correct.
That is
but
less
Coinbase
and less
I'm using as an example.
Days.
They're fully, even though you call them decentralized, they are fully in the Web3 world.
No, they're not decentralized. They're centralized.
Yeah, but they're okay. So they're centralized because it's US based. Okay. But they are fully in the decentralized language and world in the sense that you can't go buy Apple on Coinbase. You can only buy what they offer you, and they are not offering old world and bonds and money management there and SPY and QQQ. You can only fucking go buy, like you can go buy Render and you can go Hive Mapper and like the shit that I'm speculating.
So you are
just
trading meme coins. Is that correct, Howard?
A very small amount so. And I shared Render the other week, meaning I know I'm long Render, Phil, because of the funds. I call the fund managers and I ask them. Because yes, if I called the fund managers and they told me they didn't own Inject protocol, right? I would probably add some. And I'd also probably ask them, JC, is like, what the fuck are you missing? This thing, relative strength, is like the strongest one. But they're long it, so I don't need to add more. Right?
Okay, let's move on. Gold versus Bitcoin and gold versus Apple. JC.
How about that gold Bitcoin chart?
How about that gold Bitcoin chart? Can we get that chart up there? And JC, why don't you take us through it? Because this is like, I love when you do this. This is like when you do human interest plus trading implications, both at the same time. I love it. Go ahead.
So you got gold and Bitcoin going back 6-7 years or so. And the changes, the percent changes in Bitcoin versus gold is obviously more dramatic. So I'm not so much interested in that as I am the timing of the moves. You can see that gold bottoms first, then Bitcoin bottoms. Gold starts to appreciate. Bitcoin ultimately catches up. Then you could see gold in 2020, it stopped going up. And Bitcoin kept going up for a little longer, and then it stopped going up. And then gold consolidated sideways for several years. And then Bitcoin consolidated sideways for several years. And then gold broke out to a new high, all-time high, out of a multi-year consolidation. Now Bitcoin is potentially breaking out to an all-time high out of a multi-year consolidation. So maybe one has nothing to do with the other, but I find the timing of this to be interesting.
Yeah, dude, we talked about it last week. And I love that Phil's actually now running the show because it's better.
The least insane person took over the monkey house.
Well, you're keeping us on point. Here's what's interesting, guys. Gold was the standard bearer for bad macro or weird shit happening in the world. And Bitcoin took that mantle for some reason. Who cares? It just did. And what I find interesting about this gold breaker, because I'm long too, JC, and we talked about it, is it's weird. It's kind of like gold's confirming Bitcoin, not Bitcoin confirming gold. On that chart, it doesn't look that way, but like Bitcoin has been acting really strong, maybe because it was in a bigger pullback for months, and gold has just been lollygagging along, not breaking out. And it felt like gold should have broken out many times, and it didn't. But on that chart, you're right.
And then let's also put things in perspective. While the moves in Bitcoin have been much more dramatic in terms of percentage changes versus something like gold, let's remember that Bitcoin is nothing. Bitcoin is $1 trillion. A trillion and zero might as well be the same thing. Gold is $13 trillion, right? It plays in a bigger boy sandbox, if you will. So let's also put that in perspective.
So for there to be a flippening, a gold Bitcoin flippening, Bitcoin's going to have to outperform 13x over whatever time.
13.
It's Bitcoin.
It's a million. It's $1 million Bitcoin.
$1 million
In the end,
Bitcoin.
it's a path.
With gold staying the same
now
price.
I get the math. Here's the thing. Forgetting about price targets, if that is the ultimate, if digital gold is the ultimate thing, and it's going to be better than digital gold because, my friend Joe McCann is now raising a fund, not outing anybody, but he's now raising a fund that's DeFi for Bitcoin. So in a world, and that's where gold is too, there's DeFi around gold in the sense that gold is leveraged and uses other proxies. But I now visually, again, see a world, assuming that the Satoshi doesn't have a billion other cryptos that get released on April 1st, 2045, just to fuck everybody, rug pull. You know what I'm saying? Like, assuming the code is the code, and Chris Dixon and Mark Andreessen and Fred Wilson, all the people that believe, and Yoni Assi, and all the people that I trust or got me into Bitcoin are right. I now mentally have a picture of Bitcoin being worth more than gold, right? And I'm not know when it'll get there, but I can see in 100 years if Bitcoin still remains this unflawed piece of supply and code, why wouldn't it get closer to 13 trillion? So, and it's just like a seat on the CME or the CBOE. If we look at CBOE, it's hitting all-time highs, right? A seat is a seat is a seat. If you have limited supply and the value of said seat or said asset or said perspective goes up, you can't print more of them. And so CBOE keeps going up because there's, earnings on top of the fact that a seat on the CME and the CBOE, you can't get one unless you buy it from somebody else. And they ain't making more options exchanges. So Bitcoin has all that possibility, assuming the supply and assuming the speed and assuming which people value a seat on a digital blockchain is worth something. So it is fascinating. And, Michael Saylor is a multi-billionaire because of it.
Apple Gold, JC.
Go ahead.
This is another great comparison of gold to, and it seems arbitrary, but it's maybe not arbitrary.
Well, one of the interesting things is that you're seeing the largest outflows out of tech funds ever, right? In the last couple of weeks. But and then at the same time, gold's making new all-time highs. So keep that in mind. Now, the last time that you had the most amount of flows out of tech funds ever was halfway through last year. And a couple of weeks later, you had the largest inflows into tech funds ever. So keep that in mind. The difference is gold wasn't breaking out to all-time highs then like it is now.
Nor were shitcoins. Nor were
shitcoins, I guess, but like in the bigger picture world, Apple then also wasn't making new 52-week lows relative to the rest of the market. It was actually making new all-time highs relative to the rest of the market. So you have a dynamic shift. This is just not the same market we were in the fourth quarter or last year at all. It's much different leadership. Today, for example, we're recording this midday on Tuesday, March the 12th. There are only 2 sectors in the United States that made new 3-month highs today. You know what those sectors are? Consumer staples and energy.
Yeah, XLE. XLE looks fantastic.
Those are the 2 sectors that made new highs today. Not technology, not communication, not healthcare, not industrials either, by the way, which have been the real leaders in this market. Not those. It's staples and energy. Guess what was not the only 2 sectors that were making new highs? In fact, it was the opposite last year and in the fourth quarter. Those were not the sectors that were the only ones making new highs. They weren't making new highs at all. So keep that in mind. It's just a different market regime. It doesn't have to be what it was in the fourth quarter. Like, we don't have to pretend that it is. It's just different. Act accordingly.
Yeah, I think JC brought this up about a month ago when he said, he was getting all horny about shorting some stocks. He was counting and he was doing the math, which, a lot of people hate on JC. And then over the last month, I'm getting, JC
who hates
was
on me? I don't get the haters.
Yeah, well, I was seeing the hate in my stream. Why are you friends with JC? And I'm like, why am I friends with JC? He does math. He fucking counts.
He knows the good restaurants.
I was going to say, have you had sushi with JC? JC,
People like to call me and yell at me. JC, not you. So people call me and like, what do you? And I go, that's signal to me because they're being lazy. they don't like hearing somebody do the math and say the market structure is changing. Now here we are a month later, and we really see that the meme coins are breaking out. We can't explain it all. We see that the Fed may have to raise rates.
What is a meme
Here's what a meme
coin?
coin is. I'll tell you what a meme coin is. A
is.
meme coin is a coin that has a cute logo or a funny name. That's all you got to know, right? Funny name, cute logo.
It's about speed. It's about fun. It's about irreverence. It's about being Elon Musk for a month.
Like Smooth Love Potion. Smooth Love Potion is a meme coin.
Yeah.
No, JC, you're missing a lot of this.
Dude.
You used to want to win Twitter, right? But now Twitter was beaten. Twitter is owned by potentially Musk and his friends and Tucker and Alex Jones and whoever he picks on the left. And it's owned by people that play his game. You want to post a video, he wants it to be YouTube now. So that game is broken. Meme coins are much purer because you can be the king and Elon Musk doesn't even know who you are. And not only that, you don't have to play on Twitter. You don't have to play on Facebook. You don't have to play on Instagram. You're the king of that coin. You've somehow monetized it. We're at the early stages of this, but this is all in combat and all in a fight against Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's not perfectly decentralized, but this is the true movement away from centralization.
So this is a good segue into the next discussion. We're going to talk a little bit about big social. Is centralized social dead? And if it is, what is replacing it?
Great question. I'm going to go first. Okay, because I'm going to plug some companies, including StockTwits, right? StockTwits is StockTwits. When people see what we're launching next with StockTwits everywhere, they will understand that big social is changing. We're never going to win social. Twitter had social and lost it. TikTok may be kicked out of the United States. What do you do if you've spent 6 years of your life doing makeup fucking commercial or makeup videos on TikTok and your followers one day are gone? Okay. So we're about to have one of the biggest wake up moments in Web 2.0 history. Web 2 was beautiful. It was the idea that creators would have power and that, that you could use the network effect, the networks that were built to accelerate your brand and it worked beautifully for a while, right? And it culminated in Mr. Beast. We got one Mr. Beast, and we got that guy, the black rapper guy who's at every fucking event, and DJ Khaled. So we got DJ Khaled, and we got Mr. Beast, and we got JC, okay, and we got a few other people. But you know what? It's the same fucking people in charge. Kim Kardashian. It's fucking Jay-Z. It's talent. It's definitely some talented people. It's Trump. It's fucking Elon Musk. It's people that were going to be famous no matter what. We got nothing. Okay. We're the slave to fucking YouTube's algorithm. We're a slave to Facebook's algorithm. We're a slave to Twitter's algorithm. And we're a slave.
Blockchain fixes that.
I'm not being that guy. I'm just saying we have hit peak big social a year or so ago. Malik, who we'll have on the show, has written this. Follow the right people, you will know, right? If you take Twitter off your phone, which you should do, I'm not telling you to do it, but you should do it. Guess what happens? Twitter ignores you as if you're a dead person. So in order to break the chain, you have to completely cut it, because by giving up Twitter on your phone or TikTok on your phone, you are removed from any algorithm. So yes, Phil, short answer, long answer, it is over. If you are not moving your users to an email list, if you are not figuring out a way to get in contact with your users, you are going to rue the day. I rue the day. I spent too many years on Twitter. Josh Brown moved early. I'm not saying Twitter's dead. It would be stupid not to post on Twitter. What would be stupid is to post on Twitter and assume that you are going to get the same magic that happened in 2007 and 2008 and 2009. So we are in this major transition point. Comedians are now the first of the entertainers to really realize this. They have moved, they loved YouTube. They loved their fucking apps. They didn't want to organize themselves. But they now realize in order to talk to their audience, they better have an email list and they better control their own data. And so we are at the beginning of the beginning of what is the creator economy. Now, it's up for each creator now to understand the environment that we are in and take some control, just like a trading environment that has changed. It is up for great creators like JC, like us, to use YouTube, but not expect anything from YouTube. It's kind of like the Jerry Seinfeld thing. You know how to take the reservation. You just don't know how to hold the reservation. And so right now it is our job to abuse YouTube, but fully expect for them to fuck you. And if you are not prepared to be fucked, you are the sucker in the room. And so that is the major message of this moment that we are in. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, they can't help themselves. That is their job. They are the scorpions. And you should not be the victim. Sorry. Good question.
JC, any thoughts there?
I mean, I've come around to understand the consequences of like the corporate run networks like YouTube and Twitter and the limitations that those bring. The eyeballs, you got to go where the people are. The eyeballs are in YouTube.
Correct.
Twitter serves its purpose if you know how to use it. I maybe I'm not perfect, but I could certainly assure you that I've benefited from it tremendously. Just the friends that I've made over the years, all over the world, and the feedback that I can get by sharing ideas, right? Like if I have a question about cooking ribs, or if I'm looking for chicken rice in Singapore, or if just questions. I got a carpenter bee problem. Put that on Twitter. I get 100 people giving me, put some WD-40 in the holes, JC. They'll be dead in a second. Sure enough, WD-40 works. Like, right? Like Twitter serves its purpose. So I think people might be looking for other things on Twitter, maybe an outlet to release their anger. That's probably not so good. Maybe kind of like they think that they could build a business with their Twitter following. Yeah, that doesn't really work either. Like, so maybe people have misconceptions about Twitter of what it is and what it isn't. I think I have been able to extract value from it over the years from what it definitely is. I can't imagine myself being so rich and just so outly successful where I'm not going to share ideas on social media.
That's not what I was saying. I still use
just
Twitter.
in general. So that's how I look. That's how I look at social media in general,
You
which
should,
I think was the question.
I'm telling other people to look like that. But if you're a true creator, the faster you take control of your data, which is the only way I see right now that's Web 2-ish, is email. There's Beehive, there's Substack, there's WordPress, there's 1,000 places to do it. I prefer Beehive. Full disclosure, we're an investor. Josh Brown is using Beehive. But there's decentralized versions like Mirror that Fred Wilson invested in. There's a million ways to do it. I'm saying if you're not talking to your user directly, then you're really not interested in being in the creator economy. And you are one day going to get hit over the head by one of these centralized organizations. You know who you're going to be able to cry to? Nobody. So I'm just telling you from experience, the faster you take control of your own data, the better. But yes, JC, if you have good content, share it far and wide and use the networks. That does not change. Just expect less.
I've only two quick comments. Number one, if you have creative ideas, if you have new ideas, if you are thinking about things, write it down somewhere and put it out there on the internet. It doesn't matter where. The new tools that Howard's discussing are fantastic. All of them, Beehive, Substack, WordPress certainly is sort of the granddaddy. If you want to put them elsewhere that you're finding an audience, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, put them out there. Gather your own email addresses. I agree with that. But even if you're not going to build a giant audience or you're building a business around it or you care much about your brand, just create. Just put your ideas down and put them out there. Because what you will find is that there are other people out there in the world who are inspired by your thinking or who share your thinking, who you can come together with and connect with. And it doesn't matter the network. I mean, I agree. Better to take control if you're interested in that or business minded. But if you just want to connect with other people, just put your stuff out there and be real. That's number one. Number two, I think we're moving towards a whole different organization of social that is much smaller, much narrow vertically. So in other words, what I mean by that is much more focused on specific expertises or specific interests. And that over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, what we're going to see is an explosion in vertical, maybe premium networks where a whole bunch of people get together who are like-minded, share ideas, support each other, boost each other, teach each other. They're going to be.
By the way, Perlman, there's always been some element of that from the start, right?
Yeah.
So what Perlman is saying is that this is maybe the next generation of that sort of
I think that's
mentality.
True. I think that's
true. But Twitter
we've always
aggregated
been
eyeballs. So if you wanted to be the best knee surgeon and you wanted to have the biggest audience, you went on Twitter. What I'm saying now is that's not a good idea. Even if you are the best knee surgeon, get your audience off Twitter. Those people will find you and control your own destiny as a leader or as a creator. Don't rely on the network, right? It goes the same thing with venture capital. I will
use the network. I think what you're saying is use the corporate network to your advantage versus being a slave to the corporate network.
Don't be blind to think that they're going to be there for you and expect to get fucked. If that's what Josh
you can get a rug pull easily at any point.
Is exactly. What you call rug pull in meme coins is a rug pull by YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't a word that, I don't know why we don't accept that word today. It was like
I want to add to what Pearl said.
What's that?
I want to add to what Pearl said, because he's talking about, even if you don't plan to monetize it as a business or anything like that, the therapeutic experience of putting ideas down on paper, getting feedback from other people, kind of being able to connect with like-minded people who are interested in your work, right? So I think there's a lot of value. You and I, the three of us have been friends for a long time. Remember, I didn't start monetizing my content until I was already doing it for 10 years. Remember, let's not forget that. This was, it was an overnight success that took over a decade, right? Keep that in mind. I remember thinking, why am I even doing this? Why am I going out of my way to share this chart and writing about it and explaining it to people? I was like, one day it'll come in handy. That's what I used to say. One day it'll come in handy. We'll see. One day it'll come in handy.
Well, look at Warren Buffett. He didn't really start making money until he was 60. He wasn't doing anything wrong in his 30s and 40s. He was compounding knowledge, starting his conference. Other people were coming to him. He made some mistakes. And then by the time he was 60, the money started to really compound. The same thing with journaling, the same thing with being a creator, the same thing with giving back, the same thing with anything. The more you give, the better you get. It doesn't have to just be cash. It can be an idea. It could just be nice. These things compound. What doesn't compound is being a dick. It compounds for your wallet. We can give you 1,000 examples of people that are rich being a dick. It works, but it doesn't compound, and it's very lonely. It's a very lonely existence for those people, and they were destined to be lonely. That's not their fault. They're wired to be different. But if you really want to compound, you compound the proper way, and you compound by sharing and being nice. It's just a better way to compound.
Some people will never be happy. Okay, do we want to talk about Oracle? Oracle reported last night. Everybody's talking about the numbers, but the real story is what they're doing in AI. They're blowing this shit out. They're building a giant new storage factory, whatever they do. They're building a giant new thing in Salt Lake City that's just for AI. I don't understand it. All I understand is that it's another enterprise company that is having its coming out party in AI. It was Meta, it was Google, it was Microsoft. Now it's Oracle. Go ahead, Hal.
Let's not talk about Oracle. I know, Jason, because it's the market. It's massive.
It's an all-time high if it closes where it's trading right now.
It's very bullish for AI and for the cloud. It's very bullish for AI and the cloud. But let's talk about something.
The interesting thing to me about it psychologically is that it's coming into consciousness this morning. They reported last night, and all of a sudden they've been talking about it for months and months, but now all of a sudden stocks going crazy. And everybody's talking about it. It's like, oh my God, Oracle AI.
Okay, but let's look back from the breakout in 2015 or 16 or 17. It's a fucking double. Okay, now let's pull up a unique version of Oracle, which is Axon, which I've talked about on this show. Okay, so let's look at its price. It's a fucking 20 bagger over the same period of time. Now, what do they have?
10 bagger since the breakout.
Okay. So, and I think it's just getting going. Again, don't take my advice. I own the stock. It's a local company. I've followed this company forever. I've been wrong many times in its history because company was called Taser. Okay. It was branded wrong. You know why it was branded wrong? Even though Taser's the best product, they're never going to beat the gun lobby, right? America's a gun country, right? So Taser's always been fucked. So in, I don't know, 2020, they changed their name, right? And it always baffled me. I'm like, everybody knows the brand, Taser. But you know what? They had this other sleepy business that they had bought that is a private cloud network based on cameras on vests, right? And they own that cloud. So any police or government or municipality that has a police force is running their own Oracle, right? Axon is its own Oracle, meaning they're going to get the same benefits of AI and fucking raising prices as Oracle does across the GDP of the world. But Axon has a customer that can't go away, is captive by the government. And the amount of interesting data in police vests across America is fantastic, whether it's for content later with Netflix and crime mysteries and bananas. But anyways, they have tremendous pricing power. And so they're a mini version of Oracle. And they have a stub, which is Taser, right? If gun laws ever get normalized and we give tasers to everybody, they actually have a side business that could be a monster. So again, it's like an Oracle, but a very verticalized version of it. And they're going to get all the same benefits that Oracle gets off their cloud from AI. So there's many ways to look at the market from the lens of Oracle that could give you more bang for the buck. This is one of them.
Lower market cap than Dogecoin too. 23 billion.
Yeah, it's fucking bananas, dude. This stock is so undervalued relative to the world we live in. And you know, and if you go look at the growth, it's bananas, not in Taser, but their cloud business, right? You can go break it out in FinChat. So I've talked about this in the 90s. I talked about it in the mid hundreds, and now I don't know where it's at. It's like 300-ish. And I think it's lower market cap than Dogecoin. I mean, that's what freaks me out because one of them is wrong. Dogecoin may be worth $1 million and Axon may be fair valued. But in a world where Dogecoin is worth more than Axon, you know, I still am a little bit skeptical about life in general.
Why? What does one have to do with the other? Who cares?
It doesn't, but it is weird.
Is it? Why?
Because it doesn't make sense.
What do you know? But what do you know, Howard Lindzon, and me for that matter? Like, what do we know about Bitcoin forks and communities built around Bitcoin forks? Like, I don't know the first thing about what they forked into. I don't. And neither do you.
Telling you, at 58 years old, all that tells me is I'm holding Axon. I'm not buying Doji. Like I could be wrong,
but yeah. I don't think it's a fair comparison. What does one have to do with the other?
One's fair.
One's Taser.
I've had enough of you with your fair.
Taser versus a Bitcoin fork. What are we comparing here?
All right, next.
I'm rooting for the Dogecoin millionaire, the slum. What was his name again?
Back to $1 million. By the way, my movie, plug to our movie, he went from 30 grand to 3 million. This is not financial advice. He just tweeted that he's back worth $1 million. He probably was in a 95% drawdown from 3 million down to a few hundred grand. And now he's back at $1 million. He's still not selling.
Rooting for him.
So
we can talk about a couple different things here. We could take it out. We could talk about a couple different things. We could talk quickly about the crypto ETFs going crazy. They got $55 billion. There is now a race on the expense side. Van Eck just came out. Your boy Jan, who's the man, shout out to him, just came out and said that there's zero expense. The expense ratio on the Van Eck Bitcoin ETF is zero. Through
it should be
for the next year plus through March 31st, 25. It's like boomers gone wild here for Bitcoin.
It should be because we're in this stage where Bitcoin and stablecoins are the on-ramp to the rest of the risk curve here, right? Like going back to my Justin Saslaw statement, there's something going on here. And by them going zero, whether they like it or not, they're right, because this isn't just about Bitcoin, right? If you just are a Bitcoin maximalist like Jack, hats off. I don't get it, but I also respect it. It's what you want to do. good luck. Okay. I don't want my CEO to be a maximalist, but it worked. It could work for Square. It definitely worked for MicroStrategy. But what zero means is that people are saying start to like move your money, take a taste. And from that taste will lead to, on the tail, meme coins right now, but in the future will lead to true innovation and decentralization and fun and wallets and, not being tracked by the government and not having to use Google Maps, maybe use HiveMap, or not having to use AT&T, maybe you're using Helium, not having to, pay Amazon, but using Render for your GPU. Like, again, this is what's possible this time. 5 years ago, we didn't even have these things that I'm just telling you. Now I'm fully immersed in HiveMapper because I love the idea of not being reliant on Google Maps and Google knowing exactly where I am all the time. It's cool. I don't mind because it's valuable. I get some feedback. I know where a Starbucks is and I know where other things, but eventually wouldn't it be cool if I could look up Starbucks without them knowing who's asking for it? So I think we're starting to get to the place, and zero fees for Bitcoin is another on-ramp that gets people over the edge and experimenting in something that like Yoni, Fred Wilson, Chris Dixon were telling us to do 10 years ago. It's now finally closer to happening. At the same time, Bitcoin has become a completely decentralized kind of bullshit.
Centralized.
Proxy.
Re-centralized. JC, any comment about the money flow there or anything else?
It is exceeded expectations. We've talked about it already. The Bitcoin having, for me, 93% of all the Bitcoin's already been mined. So the fact that the miners are selling half as much, is it bearish? No, it's not bearish. But how bullish is it? I don't think it's really moving the needle like the amount of demand that is coming in because of the Bitcoin ETF. So I think for me, that's the bigger side of the equation. The supply side versus the demand side. Yeah, the supply is getting smaller, not a bad thing, but I think the real story is coming from the demand side. More volume in these things than SPY or QQQ. The options hadn't even started trading yet. Bitcoin's got to stick this landing, hold that 70 level. I think, we'll probably get stopped out of a bunch of positions if Bitcoin breaks back below 70 and starts getting into 68. Then it probably gets a little messy. But if we're above 70, I think the risk is not being long. I think the risk is not owning enough, and you're getting broadening participation. Look at Total 3, which is cryptocurrencies, total market cap, X, Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Continuing to make new highs. We talked about the Smooth Love Potion, talk about the meme coins. Smooth Love Potion is making new 52-week highs. It's $300 million in market capitalization. I believe Smooth Love Potion is one of the currencies, and I think the Axie Infinity game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't something like that. It's one of the coins in one of the games, Smooth Love Potion. Nevertheless, something to bring up. I got one more thing before I go. I got to hop. I just bought, I'm in line to get the Rabbit R1. You guys order this thing? The Rabbit, if you guys want to show it.
On your chest for AI?
Yeah, the little AI, little handy device. So this is the R1, $199, not bad. So I'm in the 6th batch to get it. So who knows when I get it, maybe in the summer. But I went on eBay and I paid twice as much to be in the 2nd batch. So if you want to show, have you seen this?
I've seen it. I've seen it. I don't quite understand it.
There it is.
Yeah, it's going to work. It's it's a little bit early, but something's going to be work here. Ohm was talking about this one that you pin on. The pin, I forget. But yeah, this one's getting a lot of buzz. I think it's cool.
It's cheap. It's cool.
It's cool. Instead of strapping goggles on your forehead, it's cheaper to go
build
a room in your house, to build a what do you call it? A snug room with the big TV. This is a better investment than the Apple Vision Pro. Yeah.
Perlman, I think what's an interesting one. If you want to learn about AI, which I'm in that camp, I'm buying this little toy. So that's number one.
You should.
A lot of adults that I've spoken to are like, well, I'm going to try it, and if it's useless, I'm going to give it to my 12-year-old to mess around with. So that's kind of like the hedge or the backup plan. So that's cool. And then also, this is very Perlman-esque. So a lot of the AI stuff like gives you suggestions, and it does some stuff, and it is helpful. But the internet in general, the iPhone, all these apps are more as a way to kill time, not so much a way to save time. And then it ends up being a huge distraction. The goal with this is to have AI save you time, actually execute and do things for you versus all of those alternatives. So it's interesting.
Yeah, we're a few years away, but these are the toys you need to be playing with, not so much the Apple Vision Pro.
Great point, JC.
And there's another reason why Apple versus gold looks like this. The Vision Pro, as much as I can afford it, is a dud.
It's a total dud. It reminds me of Carl Reiner in The Jerk. He puts on those glasses and he gets cross-eyed and sues Steve Martin.
If you live with 8 people in your home in Asia, I get it. Like, you can have your own TV. But in a world where you can buy a 90-inch TV for $1,000 and have an Apple TV, you're better off turning a walk-in closet into a movie room than you are buying an Apple Vision Pro. And you should go buy 10 ribbons and give them out to your company and have everybody experiment with them. So, yeah, good advice.
Great point about the giant TV. I have one last point to make before we wrap it up, guys. Spring is coming. Spring is here. I'm looking outside right now. It's 62 degrees and sunny.
It's always spring
in the Northeast.
It's
always spring in Coronado. The ripe fruit never falls. But here in the Northeast, it's sunny and it's beautiful out. And spring offers us another opportunity at Renaissance, another chance to rebirth, to reinvent ourselves, get outside, get the fuck outside and run around.
I agree. I'm gonna go for a run this afternoon, as a matter of fact.
Running is stupid. Get on.
Running
do something else.
is
Anything
stupid.
but running. Yeah.
Running is stupid. Animals have been doing it for I don't know how many millions of years. Perlman, tell them how stupid it is.
Just so stupid.
Who's the stupid one, Perlman? Who's the stupid one?
Who's schmoopy?
Is running stupid?
Running at my age is stupid.
Are stupid
Biking
comments being
is
made?
smart.
Right, tell them.
Going out in traffic
Riding
this way while cars come up behind you.
On the cliffs.
Drunk people.
On the cliffs of Tuscany. Yeah, that's smart. Right?
Who said biking was smart? Just because I called your thing stupid, I didn't say biking was smart.
Let's go really fast on the side of a cliff. That's a great idea.
We have 2 feet where bipeds we walk. We have 2 feet where bipeds we run. Okay, adios, everybody.
And fuck you both.